everyone. Welcome to Brandon Woodworkers Club. Ready to build something awesome together?
All right, we're going to go back to basics and talk about clamping. And someone can tell me how this works. You know how this
That's old school.
There are a ridiculous number of clamping options, as everyone in this room knows. And they got a whole section over there that they can say anything you can dream of clamp-wise. But what works best for what we do? You know, everything's different. So you got your basic C clamps, of course. And is this the grade F? Did it not do well in school, the F clamp?
F clamp, yeah.
Okay.
Not A.
So the old school wooden hand screw, parallel clamp, wooden hand screw, whatever you call it.
You can buy those in a kit and
Yeah, you can
put
make
the
them.
wood on yourself.
Yeah,
Were they done by Jorgensen?
Yes.
some of them, yeah.
This is a Craftsman. Remember when they used to have good stuff? I've got two of these just because I think it's a rule that you're supposed to have in your shop. And about all I do with it is to hold a piece of wood up vertically so it won't tip over when I'm working by myself, which is usually, my wife doesn't like to help me, so I just use it for holding the wood up like that. I don't really use it for clamping, but it's handy to have. And you find them at garage sales and tool reductions.
You know, if you put some notches in that, it'll hold round objects or odd objects very easily. You know, on the inside?
Yeah. Can I bring it to your shop to do that?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Sure. $50.
Your longer clamps, I bought a bunch of these. These are good for large cabinets that I build. What I like about them is extremely lightweight. And you can get all the clamping force you need. And those of us that have been here for a while, we had a presentation from the TNT guys
Yes.
about glue ups. The one thing to learn is you don't need a lot of clamping pressure. In fact, too much clamping pressure is a bad thing. You'll squeeze all your glue out.
I have something else on that. Paul Sellers, I don't know if you guys watch YouTube, Paul Sellers, he takes a piece of pine and he cuts it to the inside diameter of that rod there and puts it in there, and it stiffens that clamp up a lot. You can get those cheap at Harbor Freight.
Oh, yeah.
And they work great. They're wonderful. So
You're talking about,
this one,
I didn't think about the pine. That's a good idea.
this one.
you put it in the box.
Yep,
In the body of it.
he just cuts on the table saw a piece of pine or any wood or whatever to this size here, and just shoves it down in here,
That's a great idea.
and then stiffens this clamp
Yeah, I
up
noticed
a
those
lot.
will bow on you if you
Yeah,
tighten it too
exactly.
much.
So, and I've done that with mine that I have, and they work great.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, these are pretty affordable. They're a lot less money than a large F clamp or a parallel
They're
jaw.
lightweight. You know those K-body clamps? They're great, but they're so heavy, and I'm getting older. And
You mean this one? You mean this
Yeah,
one?
that one, yeah. It's
Yeah,
a great clamp, but
They are a good clamp, but they are heavy. Of course, the old school is the old pipe clamp. And these things have been around for forever. You got to be careful, make sure that these are parallel to your work and it doesn't cause it to drift out of position. But what's a beauty part about this, if we had enough pipe and enough couplers, we could clamp the back of this building to the front of the building and squeeze it in and make it more cozy. So, I was building a deck one year and I wanted to figure out how to pull the warped, nice pressure treated wood that I got from Home Depot and make it behave into a straight line. And we got a 20-foot piece of pipe and used one of these, and that worked great. Still
On
up.
that type, when you're trying to squeeze in, does it slip sometimes? It doesn't bite in and,
It can,
yeah,
if you look, that's at a slight angle, but every clamp's gonna be a little bit different.
Yeah.
Probably have as much experience as anybody doing this.
yeah.
But there's ways you can deal with that. You can make little pads for it, tape them on. But other thing to remember, if you're using this for glue up, if you're joining wood together,
This is what slips right inside here sometimes. It doesn't bite.
yeah, I haven't had too much of a problem with that, but
I haven't either. But they can't do that.
Some of them just have teeth on them, they'll slip real bad.
Any of these clamps, if you let glue get on them and you don't clean it up, you're gonna have trouble with them, you know?
And also the type of material you select the pipe for.
Yeah.
I was using the galvanized on mine and I switched over to black iron.
Yeah, the black pipe,
Okay?
yeah.
And it makes a huge
Big
difference in the cleanup.
Okay.
does it,
Yes.
in the cleanup, you mean?
The cleanup, the black iron carb is also a lot more rigid than your galvanized, your EMT that you're using there, a galvanized version. The black iron is a lot more rigid. It don't hardly flex or bow at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
The thing is-
Does it leave a stain with glue on it?
Yeah. Just, all I do is take a scraper and it just comes right on.
Okay.
Somebody had that
It'll dry
problem
on there.
with Allen.
Well, that's the other thing to remember. Anytime you're using these for a glue up, if you're doing a jointed tabletop or whatever, you need to put something down to separate the wood and the glue from the bar. I don't care whether it's galvanized or black iron, you're gonna get a mark in there.
Yeah, I use the black iron a lot. They work really good. And every once in a while, I have to sand them off and sand the tape off. And the good thing about the black iron is that I can sand it all the way back down to the metal, re-spray paint it, and protect it and run on down the road.
Well, you probably use them the most because all the tables that you make.
I use them a lot.
Yeah.
They have their advantages and their disadvantages. And it's like I just kind of need a combination.
This stuff is
Yeah.
worth its weight. It's
Yeah, I
very-
use that too, but not on the fans.
But believe it or not, I've used this on these kind of clamps. Use them a little bit, and you rub off the zinc coating. And if you're doing a door front or a face frame, and using this to clamp the corners together and hold them flat, and if it's gonna be stained, you're gonna see bleed through. If the zinc coating has come off like these, they've been used a lot. So put a little wax paper on it. I could do a little more maintenance and clean them up, put a tape on there, but that's too much work.
If you get dry glue on your clamps, white distilled vinegar, just let it sit on there for a while, it'll rubber it up and you can scrape it off.
And we talked a little bit about the parallel. Bessie is a big manufacturer. This is a jet. The beauty of this is, just as the name implies, it gives you parallel clamping force from the bottom to the top. So if you're building a drawer that's fairly deep, sometimes you got to use two clamps to get the top and the bottom pulled in just right on the corners, and it solves this problem with this. But they are heavy,
Yes,
and I've got some 48-inch Bessies.
yeah.
Been a lot of time.
I find I have probably half a dozen of them, and I find I rarely use them.
Yeah, my go-to is down to about 3 or 4.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a interesting clamp here that I think is this Rockler only?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mine.
I don't know, how many people got this in your shop? You can get into tight spaces with this, where you don't have the room for an F clamp or a C clamp, or for that matter, one of these. So it has its purpose. So, make sure.
What's that called?
What do they call it? That's a jaw clamp. Yeah. But it's
Seems
probably back
appropriate.
there under clamps, I'm guessing.
Okay.
Corner clamps. There's so many different corner clamps that you can get. I wound up with a bunch of these Craftsman. See how it works? Goes on, you can tighten it, hold it together. I found that these sit in the drawer. I don't hardly ever use them. There's these that are just simply a spring connection. I would use it just to hold it together while you're figuring things out, rather than using it for assembly, but it's out there.
And Tom, the corner clamp that you just showed, I've got about 3 of those, but I also have, no, angle, 90 degrees.
This one.
Yeah, I've got 3 of those, but I also have one that's adjustable, so if you want to clamp angles with it, you can adjust it for that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Here's one that Bessie makes, which is kind of interesting. It's actually a pretty well-made clamp that you can get around the corner, tighten it up, and it'll hold it pretty securely. But again, I found that this sits in the drawer cabinet, and I hardly ever use it.
It seems like a good idea.
What is your go-to when you're gluing up?
I'm going to get to that.
Okay.
I'm going to show you the fancy ones that I don't use. And here's one.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool? I never use it. It just sits in the drawer. But, I was at a show and they were selling them, so.
Those aren't cheap either.
What's that?
Those aren't cheap either.
No, don't.
Give you $2.
Sharon's not yet, that's okay. My go-to, believe it or not, I have one of the smallest C-clamps like this, but only 2 inches. I was going to bring it, just put it in my pocket, but I forgot. I use that little 2-inch C-clamp in this guy religiously. I have 12 of these. If I'm doing a carcass for a cabinet, it's steel. It's never going to move, and I'll just clamp it. And thing to remember on all clamps, if you're got nice wood that's going to be stained, and you're not going to be able to sand it and finish it, make sure you use a clamping pad where that clamp is going to touch your fine wood. So if I was going to clamp this with this, I'd put a pad under the part that's going to touch the wood. But I use it for building carcasses, for drawer boxes, and it's remarkable how square that holds everything.
Is that aluminum?
No, it's steel.
Does that leave any marks on the wood?
No. Well, it might be aluminum. It does. It probably is aluminum. It just says it's a 3D square. But it's made by Jevon's Tool in Kansas City.
As far as not marking wood on the pads, I got the felts for the bottoms of chair legs, and I put those on my C-clamps. And when I crank it down, it doesn't leave marks in the wood.
Okay. Or there's like the peel and stick kind?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a good idea.
It was a quick thought.
There's a...
I even put a small piece of scrap wood in between clamping.
There's a company that makes, Rick, those little plastic, is it handy shims? Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Y'all know what I'm talking about? They're about that big. They're called handy shims, and you can buy them in different thicknesses from a 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch, 16th, 32nd. They're color coded. I use those things by the 100. They're just really nice for putting a sliver in and make up a dimension problem. But those work great for padding your clamp. And their
Deck of cards, too.
deck of cards will work as well. All right, where are we at? Let's talk about the 4-way clamps. If you're joining multiple pieces of wood together and you want to keep it flat, so there's multiple ways of doing that. There's you can use a caul, which is, some people think it's a straight edge, but it's actually better if it's got a little bit of a bow in it, where you put the convex side down, and then you clamp the 2 outside edges, and do that on both sides, and it forces, it'll take a little bit of the stretch out of the wood, and it'll flex and hold that flat. So that's one way of doing it with a caul. They make specialty 4-way clamps. I've got one made by Fulton. It's called a Panel Max, and it mounts to the wall, and you load it from the top, and you can go that far down and just joint your wood, glue it, stack it in there, and it supports it at the bottom, your clamp is on the top, and it brings bars in as you tighten it and holds everything together. Rockler has their own version called the Deluxe Panel Clamp. I've seen it many times displayed up there.
They work great.
They do. And those are easier. The system I have, you got to fiddle with it. It's a pain. And then if you won the lottery and you want to give woodpeckers a lot of money, they have their Clampzilla. So it's just a cool name. You got to have a Clampzilla in your shop. Right? And how many are you aware of this cool little guy? It's sold by Rockler.
Yep.
So you can tighten this little guy onto your clamp. There's another loose one around there. It is. Just tightens on the bar, and you can get your force together, and you can tighten this down to hold it flat. This with a caul will solve all your problems, because a lot of people, you don't have the depth of a clamp to get in to the center. All right. I didn't bring in, you see me, how I make my doors. I have several 90-degree jigs I've made up that are a couple of pieces of angle aluminum at a perfect 90 degree, screwed to a piece of Formica clad plywood, and I have them this big so I can put doors in and square a corner really nice. I use those a lot, and I started using the Formica clad. I used to just put them on regular plywood, and I had glue squeeze out that just kept destroying it. So the Formica cleans up pretty good. Talk to you about this, which is my go-to. But if you got heavy duty requirements, these are great. They make these smaller ones. You can get them on Amazon. Unless you're building jewelry boxes, don't bother, because these will flex a little bit. Believe it or not, they will. So I wouldn't build a cabinet. I wouldn't use it for screwing up something like this. It just doesn't have the strength.
You use a framing square.
What? You can, but how do you hold it in place when you?
Yeah, that's the problem.
It's more.
Plant from Home Depot.
Okay, but you only got about 1/8 inch of thickness to hold it from wobbling. This has turned out pretty good for situations where you have to adjust the angle, where it's not just 90 degrees. So this is pretty handy. Same concept as this, pretty robust once it's dialed in. That is pretty much it for the accessories, or for the clamps. Let's talk about the workbench accessories. You want
Do you
to?
have a strap clamp on your two tons?
I did not bring mine in, but you're talking about a strap
Not
clamp.
mine either.
Yeah, mine's in a drawer with other stuff that I rarely use. I do have one though, so at least I'm in the club. I don't build picture frames and things like that, which is where it was very handy to use. And I don't do a lot of octagon type stuff, and that's really handy for stuff like that, or multi-piece.
One came with my truck, it's called a hold down. It was fine.
Ratchet straps? Yeah, I got a bunch of those. I've used those also.
One thing that you haven't showed since you talked about Rockler stuff is one that they were featuring for quite some time. It's spring-loaded.
Right.
And you work with that. I've got one at the house. I use it fairly frequently.
Yeah, I've got a lot of those the hand squeeze ones, and that's a better version of those that is spring-loaded that will come in.
Yeah.
I don't like them because it just can't get as much force just from the hand clamping.
Yeah.
So I like the F-body more so.
It comes in handy when I'm drilling pepper mills on my shop smith and I'm drilling horizontally. And so I'll lock it in, and with that, whenever I'm drilling a chunk of wood, and so it doesn't have to be real precise, but it's
Right.
quick.
No, it's a good clamp, I agree with you.
Yeah.
No, there's there's easily probably 100 other clamp styles that exist that we are not talking about tonight.
Tom?
Yeah.
You were talking about the squeeze clamps. I have a whole bunch of them. I use them, like Jim, I'm a guitar guitarist. I use them to put all around the tops and the bottoms of the glue.
Oh, it's perfect for a guitar.
100 of them. But I just saw something yesterday where they made two plastic parts for putting two butt joints at a 90 degree. You can attach them to each side of that squeeze clamp. One's a V notch and one's a V bellow. So, you know, it's like that Craftsman clamp you had. It puts two together at exact 90 degree angles. It's an addition to you can add on to your Irwin clamps or whatever you have.
Okay.
I think it was $60.
And one that I didn't talk about, and this is another variation of the 90 degree clamp, and I don't know why I bought this. It was a woodpecker, so I thought it'd be cool. This is good if you're building something that's very small and very precise, like a jewelry box. But what's kind of nice about this is that you can set it up for two dissimilar thickness pieces of wood. Just put them in here, tighten it down, clamp it in. But it's extremely precise. That is a perfect 90 degree corner when you have it done. But again, see the dust on it? It stays in that same drawer, the drawer of orphaned clamps in my shop.
It's a big drawer.
It is a big drawer. It's actually two drawers. So, Mark, why don't you talk a little bit about some of the workbench accessories that you provide? There's so many things that we can do to enhance clamping and assembling, and Mark's brought a bunch.
How many people have a legitimate woodworking bench similar to that right there? Show of hands. So maybe less than half, maybe 30–40% of us. Yeah. I didn't have one for the longest time, you know. Well, you know, when you get divorced every 10 years, you tend to lose it. I know. But, so I've had to kind of invent ways to get around it and stuff for a long time and not having one. And most of this is not something that I invented. I saw on YouTube or just saw another woodworker somewhere do it or whatever. But there's a lot of ways to get around that. They're convenient, they're great, but you can do without them if you want. And it depends on the kind of work that you're doing. Little history, I brought this in. This is called the Rockwell Jawhorse. And when I was doing kitchen remodels and stuff, I was in like Lowe's and Home Depot all the time. This was sitting out in Home, not this one, I have another one too. This one is a different one, but it was sitting out in the aisle and they were, you know, promoting it and stuff. And I walked by it and I said, that is the stupidest looking thing I've ever seen in my life. You know, I don't know who would buy one of those things. You know, it was like $100 and some. And I would see it, you know, going by. I never paid it much mind and stuff. And then one day I went, probably a year after I initially saw it, they had it on sale. I mean, real cheap, like they were finally getting rid of them all, you know. And I bought it for less than $100. This thing has turned out to be the best, one of the best things I think I've ever bought. So how this works is, this will come out, I don't know how far, maybe 36 inches, something like that. But they have one that's called a Sheet Master that will go out 48 inches. You can do a full sheet of plywood with it. But this is wonderful, especially for somebody like that's doing bowls and you got an angle grinder or whatever, and you want to be outside and you don't want to use your bench vise inside and create all this dust and everything. This thing, when it clamps, Robert will tell you, it clamps down. So I've done a lot of carving with this. Matter of fact, for those that remember the eagle, I clamped the eagle blank in here and I used a draw knot. I mean, I've used this thing. You can set posts with this just around the house. You can clamp a post and put it in the ground and it stays right there while you're putting cement or whatever. This thing is just wonderful. So if you ever see one at a flea market, I don't know if they still, this one, I was going down 39 and I saw it in a yard sale. And I think he wanted like 15 bucks for it, So I picked it up. And so I have 2 of them now.
Can we just borrow that one?
Yeah, sure, you can borrow it. Yeah, absolutely. So you'll see me using this for the demonstration, but how it works is you just, it's very simple. You put the wood in, you pull this jaw back to it. This says lock here. You push lock, you push down here. Wait a second. I'm going to set it up. You put here, and when this is in, I mean, it's in. You're not getting it out. So to unclamp it, just go unlock, push, and there we go. So you can do it like that, you can do it like this, you can do it like this, So this really wasn't part of the demonstration, but I'm going to be using it to show you some other things. But you want to take it to a job, for those of you guys are still working like Scott, it folds up to nothing. These legs come back, this tucks in, and it's about that square and about that long, and it rolls too, right here. So anyway, all right, the first thing, you don't have a bench, or you do have a bench. This is nice, and I use it a bit because it kind of lifts your work up. A lot of times a bench, this is kind of a taller bench, but like mine's, I think 35 inches. But sometimes, like if I'm carving or whatever, I want to get it a little closer. And all this is basically a box. And I brought this in so you can clamp up here, you can clamp this. You could do woodworking at a picnic table with this. You just clamp this down here, and then you can use all I'll show you all the accessories, but you just clamp this down and you're good to go, You can do it at a park. This side, I put T-track in with a T-track bit. The metal stuff is expensive. And if you really get to cranking on it, the little screws that you have to use to get it, by the time you get to...
You talking about that?
Yeah. It'll pull out sometimes, if you're a manly man and you crank down a little too hard. So these, and I'll show you, these are just 3/4 inch dog hole. This is a 3/4 inch dog hole here. There's some over here. Now this is configured a little bit differently. So you can use this as like anything that you do with a regular bench, you can do with this, really. And it's cheap, leftover plywood. This was leftover from a job that I did probably, 30 years ago. I built a library with this oak plywood, and just had it laying around and built this jig, And I've had it ever since because I use it, even to this day.
And you got it drilled for bench dogs and...
Yes. Okay, so, and I'll show you some of this stuff. Let me get some of this out. This is the kind of thing he was talking about here, but I did find that even these do flex a little bit, so be careful with these. I'm going to show you where you can see, actually.
Looking for that. I brought this in. This is an example of what Craig sells. I've got one of their assembly tables that's got these clamps all the way around the side of it. And it's handy, but your work surface is limited to the size of the table they give you. And I find myself exceeding that more than half the time. So my table saw is usually my assembly surface. And I use F-clamps to hold the stuff down to the tabletop, and the Craig like vice grip clamps and just regular clamps to hold everything as I'm running pocket screws in, etc. But it's handy when you can use it like this, because you can do a lot of work with it, and they're easy to move around.
Does anybody know what they call this?
Wood?
Actually, it's really nothing, but they call this a bench bull. And you can put this in your woodworking vise. I'm putting it in here. You can use it anyway, and it's a way to clamp things to it. Oh, you don't even have to drill holes or whatever. You can put even the bigger like Harbor Freight clamps can come through, and then you can clamp to it. You can go up this way. I mean, you just let your imagination run wild. You can see what you can do with it. You can put this on the side and put one on the end, and you can use it for planing thin stock, you know, because you're going into the corner, you can plane, it won't go anywhere. It's just a real versatile vise, and I thought I'd show it to you because I don't use it that much now because I have a workbench with how many vices, Robert? 1, 2, 3, 4? 4.
You got these on the side, on the front, pretty slick.
Yeah, I have a pretty good sized workbench. But anyway, but if I was, hey Dad, come help me do whatever, if I had to throw this in the truck, I have a way to clamp and do things. So I wanted to show that to you. You can also put it this way if you want. You can get this, up to where you can work, closer to your eye as you get older, like me, a lot of us, we don't see as good as we used to. All right, so I'll go over the clamps, but I might have some of them I'll show you in this. This, believe it or not, this is a simple piece of 2x10. 2x10, but you can clamp it in here, and you can get your work held down across the top, across the face. We're going to work on the surface, the ends, and the edge, right? That's it. So you can put it here, and you can put it this way. There's all kinds of ways to do it. All right. This is the closest one. This is the Veritas. Very, very nice. This, when I bought it, was about $100, so you're probably not that interested in it. But they work great. How many have this? This one. Robert's got one. Jim? Yeah. You got one? Yeah. They're great, aren't they? You got more than one? Oh, you're rich. But what I like about this is it's nice and quiet. Anybody use the hold fast, where you bang it down? Yeah, Robert. He loves them. I don't like them that much.
Beat it.
Beat it. Yeah. Beat it and then beat it off. Yeah. This, you just put it in, you tighten it down, and you're good to go.
That's just using the friction of the threads.
Yeah.
Binding against the wood.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, of course, if you're just doing a single point, you're going to have some of that. Then this is a really cool clamp. And Robert hasn't seen it, so I'll bet that most of you haven't seen it. But this one's made by Tay Tools. Goes in a 3/4 dog.
How's that name spelled?
Tay Tools. T-A-Y.
T-A-Y.
Yeah. T-O-O-L-S. And it goes in a
Figure out the part.
3/4
The first
inch.
part is my problem.
What's that?
I could figure out the second part.
Oh, yeah.
But thank you for spelling tools.
Okay, all right. But this thing works great. Look at that, just a little bit, and it's crushing the plywood. So you don't need a whole lot. This could be tightened down. So that's a really cool one. This is one made by Craftsman. It works well, believe it or not. They're not expensive, I think 20 or 30 bucks maybe at the most. Well, let's get you here. Oh, now I'm in the way. Okay, let's take this out. I would show you in here. See, all of these, I'm just showing you here, all of these, except for these long ones, will go in these. So you can use them horizontally too. All right, so just put this in here, put this here, put this down, and you got it clamped. There's an adjustment here, kind of like the Craig clamps, you know, you can adjust how tight you want them.
Ones that self-adjust.
Yeah, they self-adjusted, but you can adjust how hard you want it.
Right.
Yeah. So these are pretty cool. I use these quite a bit. I tend to use this one and that one the majority of the time. You probably can't see it from where you're sitting, but there's dog holes up here. And you can use those as well.
What'd you call those holes on the top?
These holes are called dog holes.
Can you spell that for me?
Yeah, I'll spell it for you.
I'm sorry, Mark.
You're not sorry.
These, I really like these DeWalt clamps because the end will come off. Just pinch it, you know, the little button, and you can put them right through, you know, your back.
Can you flip it and make it a spreader?
Yes, yeah. So these work really well.
Those are made to be reversed, so you can expand it too.
Right. But the point is that they'll work in your dog holes. Now you can also, let me grab a.
What size are the dog holes?
3/4. Yeah, 3/4. This is a Sears Craftsman one. It works pretty good. And you just push this in a little bit, and you push this down. Well, I probably pushed it a little too far. And you can work on it flat like that. So these are like inline type clamps. You can also do these type. You seen those where you put these in the I think Tay Tools also has these. Taytoo. But you can see this is tight. No.
You should clamp that other stuff.
What's that?
You should clamp the other stuff down.
Yeah, clamp the other stuff in.
Too bad we don't have enough clamps.
These little clamps are nice. These little ones, this is a Irwin. Is it Irwin?
Yeah.
That color is Irwin.
Yeah. And I have some other ones in there too. But basically, now some of them will have a little raised part here where you can't take this off. So all you do is just grind that down so you can take this off. And then you can stick it through, you know, and you can clamp this too. Clamp here. This is all in your 3/4 inch dog.
Hey, Mark,
holes.
speaking
Yes.
of the Irwin clamps, I have probably 20 of the F-body ones that the blue is just on the handle, it's just flaking off. Has anyone
Oh, really?
seen if you could repair that, or do they offer parts? Does anyone
I don't know.
want to do that work for me so I don't have to contact them?
This is the same type of clamp. This is This is a
Yeah, I'm
Bessie.
taping mine with the stuff they use on tennis rackets and all that.
Yeah, yeah.
Tom, you just dip that tool
Or
into
hockey.
the handle of it,
Yeah.
and it's like it's liquid, pull it out and it's dry like a
But it'd be
rubber.
nice if they sold replacement handles, because it's a nice clamp.
This is the Bessie, and you don't have to do anything with it. It's smooth, so you can go right off with it. Back on. It works great. Great clamp. I'm just giving you the service. I mean, you can let your imagination go wild. I mean, with whatever you have to do, you can do it. You just have to think it through, that's all. This is just a longer clamp, if you need it. The rest of them are these T-track. I like the T-track, all right. I don't use it that much, but I have a few T-track bits, and I found that they work fine. If you're having trouble, you can put some real thin super glue in there, and it seems to hold it better. But you can make all kinds of little accessories, and this is just nothing but the toilet flange bolt. And sometimes you have to, sand the side or file the side down a little bit. And to get it to go in, but they work great. Well, it's 1 point, so it's not gonna, yeah, but you get the point. They work good. And then these small clamps are real versatile. With your dog holes, when you've got something like this. Now, in a bench, it wouldn't be, but, they just go straight through, and you can use it clamping down this way. If you didn't want to use the tape tools one. They're not expensive though, the tape tools one. Yeah, I really like these a lot. I use these a lot. This one and the other one. This one and the Veritas. And I don't know what they cost. Does anybody know what they cost now? When I bought this one, it was like $100. You know? You have a bunch of them, you said?
About $30 worth, what do you buy it for?
$30? You're shopping at a better place than I am.
Harbor Freight. They sell another version of that. I have two of them, but there's a metal insert that you have to put on the bench, and then they go in those metal inserts, but it's the same principle.
Okay, all right.
Imagine if I had a smaller hole, I could just use it that way.
For a long time, I had a bench. I built two, a little narrower than this, and I had them about 5 feet. And then I had a flat in between where I could throw like a tool well. And I had some bigger holes in here. If you put like, I forget the size, but if you put it big enough, you can use your regular Harbor Freight or any style F-clamp straight through like these small ones, And you can clamp down to the face, you can clamp down to the top. Real simple.
And you don't have to have a work surface drilled for bench dogs. You can simply take a piece of wood and clamp it as a stop.
Yes, yeah.
And then pull in and use that. This calibrated wood right there.
This is, if you do hand tool woodworking like planing or whatever, you can take, this is called a doe's foot, so you can have a stop over here, and you put this doe foot here, and you just clamp it down here, and now you've locked it in, where when you're planing, it doesn't go all over the place. And I think he's going to show you the Moxon vise, but I brought a cheap one that you can put together real quick if you don't have the time and the money. Is this right here. It's just a 2x4 and a piece of plywood. These are great if you're doing like dovetails and you want to clamp all the way through. That's the other thing nice about this. There's no screw in the middle. You see how that that vise has a screw. So you can only go so far if you want to, say you have a 12-inch piece that you need to dovetail. You want something that goes all the way through. But if you just put another piece here, L, then you can clamp this to the table or the edge of your workbench or whatever, and then you can just let your piece go through.
Can you pull up the pictures of the Moxon?
Yeah. So anyway, the point is that you don't have to have the fanciest stuff to do great work. The great work is in your mind. It's not with a $3,000 bench.
Your Veritas from Lee Valley, Big Dog, they're now 149.
149 for this one right here.
I don't know if that's Canadian or United States.
But I will tell you, he's talking about all the ones that go in the drawer. I do use this one, and Robert will tell you I use this one. I use this one a lot. It's just, you guys remember John Jardin? He hasn't come in a while. He's got one or two, I think, and he uses his all the time because we used to go over there every Saturday. So, real good. But if you want something cool, I guess they're still available. I don't know. This one works great too. It's very simple. It's basically an F clamp with an adapter. The only thing I found is that as you're clamping, you want to, for some reason, it seems to clamp better is as you're doing it, if you push back this way just a little bit, then it grabs. If you don't do that, you can sit there, well, it's not doing it now, but you need this to cam a little bit. Yeah. That's about it. Any questions about any of this? Yes.
Hey, what do you use when you want to clamp something a little deeper than about what I see is 4 inches of depth? What do you use for something that's longer than that? Say you want to clamp 8 inches into a piece.
The piece is 8?
Just like using your F-clamp style, but do they make them with a longer arm? You had one.
Are you talking about this part?
No, that's one type, but I'm talking about your one that you've got in the top right there. The length of the arm.
Oh.
Yeah, the distance between the center.
You don't need it.
The depth of the throat.
Yeah, you don't need it. If this hole went all the way through and this thing was 3 feet long, it wouldn't change how this works.
No, I'm talking about the distance. I'm talking about the other way, this way.
Oh, this part.
Talk about the reach this way.
Talk about the reach.
I don't know about that.
What do other people use for that to get the reach longer than that?
Use a clamp with that.
I use weights.
You'd have
The
to,
one with the,
I think that would be a case-by-case basis, whatever. I mean, you can still use your regular F-clamp, across this way or whatever. I mean, you just have to use your imagination.
Yeah, there's so many clever ways you can figure out
And these can,
what you got.
Yeah, and these can be configured. This bench bowl thing can be 4 inches wide, it could be, or thick, it could be as long as you want it. So I'm just trying to show the idea of how you can do
Chuck,
it.
you talking about the reach on it?
Yeah.
Where's that? If you got that piece of stick, you can use that one and then pinch it in.
Yeah, that'd work too. Just
Yeah,
Gives you an
kind of like a
extension.
call board.
right.
Well, let's talk about the Moxon.
Yeah.
How many people have a Moxon in your shop? Not too many. Moxon. This thing.
How you spell that?
J-I-G. V-I-C-E. I got the idea for this a few years ago, about 6 years ago. I was watching the Woodworkers website, and he was promoting a friend of his who was marketing a kit to make your own Moxon vise. And I got on his website, I was all ready to spend $200 to buy his kit. And they were sold out, well, email us, we'll put you on a list and we'll get them back. Well, he never got back to me. so he doesn't have much of a business. So I got looking into it, and that's a similar company that makes a kit, costs about $200. And you can see you got the crank wheels, you got the threaded rod, and there's a couple of bushings, but then you build it yourself. So this one is nothing more than oak, a 4/4 oak that I glued together, so I made the back really robust. And I made this so I could bolt it to the top of my workbench and remove it. And I did that deliberately so the wood would be able to go through like this, all the way to the floor, just like that. And I put it on top of...
I could do that myself.
You could. I've got some drawers that pull out that I can use as a stop if I don't want to really tighten the pressure to hold the wood from falling through. I just want to gently clamp on it, but hold it secure enough so I can edge band a cabinet door or a drawer front or whatever. So I said, well, it looks like if I could find these materials, I could make this myself. So that's what I did. The most critical part is the threaded rod. It's not all threaded. Everybody know what it's called? Right. You get that where? Where the Roadrunner shops.
How do you spell that?
Where Wile E. Coyote shop to kill the Roadrunner. But it's a special thread. It's got a flat top and a trapezoidal thread, and it's extremely strong, extremely robust, and you can see this has got corrosion on it. My shop is very humid, and it works perfectly. And this will work like this 100 years from now. So you get your crank wheels. I'll be around. You're not going to join me? But also important is you have bushings for the thread to go through. And those are brass on both sides. So you take it all the wear out of it and just put it through the wood, you're going to wallow out the wood. And that's not going to last very long. But this thing, as you can see, it's been beat to creation, and it holds up very well. I probably have less than $100 in the hardware. So,
Tom,
yeah.
There's a unique feature about the Moxon device. If you elongate the holes in the front, then you can actually clamp things that are not square, flat. Now, you can clamp them at an angle.
Explain that a little bit better so I can
Okay.
comprehend it.
You have the rods coming out, and they're perpendicular to the wood.
Yes.
Okay, they fit directly into the hole.
Right.
In the front. If you elongate the holes side to side in the front, okay, then that allows the wood to move back and forth on either side.
So you can get a non-parallel clamping, is what you're saying?
That is correct.
Okay. This will do that a little bit, but not much.
I'll bring mine in next meeting.
Okay.
I got one that I made. I used a 1/2-inch threaded rod and made the hand wheels.
Okay.
I'll bring it in next month.
The beauty of doing one of these, and there's several companies that you can buy the hardware if you don't want to, McMaster-Carr is a great hardware source for Acme thread and the hand wheels, but the hand wheels that I saw, I looked at it today, they weren't threaded. There's companies that make the threaded ones that will accept the, and this, I think this has a name, it says iron flare chain. So obviously, obviously from South Georgia. But you can make this as wide as you want it. You can make this 4 foot wide if you needed it to be. So a lot of the ones that are already made, they get $300, $400, $500 for the whole complete Moxon. But making it yourself, you can customize it. I wanted this detachable so I could remove it from my work surface, and I wanted it so I could bolt it to the edge. So it's worked very well for me. Any questions on that?
I skipped one thing.
Okay.
And by the way, I was thinking about vices. Robert knows my bench better than I do. He's right. It's 3 vices on that bench, not 4. The other one I was thinking is on a different bench across from it. Craig makes this little thing here. It looks cheap in plastic, but it's pretty hardy. The only thing I don't like about this is to put something in line, you'd have to have a dog here, right? So it comes against it. But what I found with this one is, as you put pressure, it tends to, I don't know why, it tends to want to push it up like that. So I don't know why it does it, but these are about 20 bucks. And quite frankly, I don't use it much, but if anybody wants to buy it, I'll sell it to you for 20 bucks.
All right, well, let's take.
Thanks for watching the Brandon Woodworkers Club. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more great content. Click next for another woodworking project.